Hello everyone. We talk now about dependency injection and Kotlin and more about Android development. I'm Arnaud Giuliani. I'm a French developer and I work in the south of France in Toulouse. I'm also the Koin project lead, and you can follow me on Twitter and Medium. And we will start with the first question. Why? Why guys are crazy enough to try to create a new solution? Then this story started in 2016 and the coming of the Kotlin 1.0, and for everyone, this were labeled production ready on the website, then I put Kotlin in production. There are lots of good stuff in this language, and then from these very, very powerful features, we can write very powerful application, and we write them really safer and better. And then we kind of feel like superhero powers, and it's very cool to write things in Kotlin, but other tools are in Java, and we kind of blocked by everything about it, and it's kind of become boring to use such frameworks and use such solutions that are bring back by Java. Okay, I feel like at this time, okay, no more. I don't want to use such solutions, such Java solution, and okay, even I thought that I could go without any DI framework, and I'm sure that you'll still find lots of articles in the internet and about Kotlin without any DI. We have objects, we have functions, we have generics, we have lots of stuff. And it's quite fun to write, but not easy to assume every day in your application. And then I was looking for a new solution, a simple solution for Kotlin and Android. Simple, not in the idea of stupid, okay? But for me, simple for my developer needs, not overwhelming by theory or over-featured stuff. Then I couldn't go with all of the stuff, and I choose to rewrite things. Okay, Ben, let's go. To make my demo about Koin, the best thing, it's not an espresso advertisement, and it's about the application that we will see together, and it's about the coffee maker app, and this is also the dagger samples that make people's nightmares. And okay, let's go with it, and let's dive in this application and see how we can make it with Koin. The coffee maker is just a coffee maker application that you have a class that's coffee maker that has function brew, and we will use a pump to pump water, okay, and an implementation thermosiphon, and a heater part to heat the water, and the electric heater implementation. Okay, that's the application. Then the coffee maker used the two parts, the pump and the heater, by interfaces. And the last thing, that the thermosiphon will use also the heater to control that the pump is pumping hot water, okay? Only 3 parts in the coffee maker app, okay? And we will see how in Kotlin it's just a heater interface, okay? On, off is hot to make the water heat, okay? That's quite a simple. We have the on function. We have a kind of printing ASCII art. You will see at the end of the application that we print a beautiful ASCII art for coffee making. We have the off, and we make that the heating is off, and we have the is hot function. This is the most complex class that we'll see in the application. Okay, just a class like that. And the pump, okay, the pump just pump, okay. And the implementation, the thermosiphon, will use the heater by the interface by constructor injection, and then we will implement the pump function that is checking the heater to be hot, okay? Then we have the coffee maker class that take the two parts and by constructor injection and make the brew process to make all the coffee. Yeah, that's it. That's all the coffee maker app. We need a last class to run on all the things. It is the coffee app class, and we will try to have coffee maker attribute. Don't know where we have that, but and then we will run it. We will run the brew process from there. Okay. How we can assemble that? This is the rule of your DI framework of your assembling technology, and then we'll go with Koin. Koin, it's an intuitive DSL, Kotlin DSL. It's a lightweight container to run all the definition that you have written in with the DSL, and it's a simple API to help you write, use your dependencies. Okay, just one Gradle dependency. Here we use the core engine. Koin is completely agnostic and standalone, and here we just use the core engine, and then we go just with this. The DSL is quite simple. You just have to know 4 keywords. This is the first one, module. Module will help you define a space for all your declarations. And then in my module lambda, I will describe every definition from here. What is a definition? It is just a single or a factory, a single for singleton, something that my container will hold indefinitely, and a factory that will create a new instance each time of my desired component. And with the lambda, don't see very much with the red here, but we will describe how I create my object here. Let's take the coffee maker example. We have the 3 classes here, and we will make just a simple module, okay? And we will begin to declare all our components. The first one is our electric heater, okay? We just have to write single lambda electric heater. We just call the constructor of our object. It's pretty easy to write. But here we have to notice that if I want to retrieve my object with the heater type and not the electric heater type, I have to precise it to Koin, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to make things. We want to make things very simple, and we won't try to guess what you want to describe here. Then you have to be clearly explicit with your definitions. Then single of heater, and my definitions is the electric heater declaration. Let's go next with the thermosiphon class, and then we have a single of thermosiphon, and we just tag it with the pump type. And we can notice here that we have a constructor. Here is just Kotlin code. This is your code, and the Koin DSL will compile with your code. Then I have to fulfill the thermosiphon constructor, and then last keyword of the DSL, I have to say to Koin, get me the needed dependency. Kotlin is smart enough to allow us to just remove the type inference. He make everything. And then we have the coffee maker that will fill the constructor injection here. That's it. We have declared our 3 components, or it is declared with dependency injection by constructor. To make the things run in the last, I have to make my coffee app be able to pick up dependency in the Koin container. For this, I will use a Koin component. That is a class that can use the Koin container. The Koin component is an interface marker. It's completely empty. You don't have to override or implement something. It's just an interface maker to allow us to identify where we will unlock the Koin extension functions for you. And it also allow you to identify where in your code you are linking yourself to the Koin API. Then, once you have use the Koin component interface, you gain access to Kotlin extensions, inject and get. And this kind of interface will help you make bootstrap and integrate with any kind of runtime. Then for the Coffee app class, how is this go now? We just tag it with the Koin component interface, and we have the gain access with by inject delegate. It's a lazy delegate that allow you to retrieve your needed dependency. That's it. You can also write with get. This is the direct retrieve, will directly retrieve your dependency, and that's it. Lastly, we need to run Koin. This is, we have to use the start Koin function to start the Koin container, and then we have the coffee maker and the coffee app that is ready. I will just start the container with my list of modules, and then I can run my class and just run it. It will get all the dependency. If I want to be exact with the kata, with the Dagger's kata, we have big constraint, big kind of constraint on the hater class, because in Dagger you have a lazy Dagger type. And then if you want this, this link to be lazy, we just use Kotlin to make it. That's why we have a lazy type here to introduce new one, and we won't be able to use heater on the blue function. Then, because we can use the lazy function, the lazy Kotlin type, we will have to use a value accessor here. It's quite ugly, and I propose you to have a delegate property to make it, and use the heater property like below. And in my Koin DSL, I won't have any nothing new, because I will just use the power of Kotlin to make it. That's it. Then the big question about Koin is dependency injection or service locator. My answer is both, because on one side you will have dependency injection on constructor injection. All your classes that you are declaring here, all the components that you are declared are not linked with the Koin API, and all is constructor injected. And this is very the kind of pattern that we encourage. And then if you use any kind of Koin component delegate method, you will have a smart service locator. And that's all. That's all, folks. You know all about Koin. That's it. Let's go to see about how it works in Android. And for this, we have to keep a step below, because we can create things directly. We can create new activity as we want, because we have to subscribe in an Android lifecycle. I think everyone knows the Android lifecycle of hell, and kind of problematic sometimes, but just had the Koin dependency for Gradle. The actual version of Koin is 1.01. And here, from here, we have a new start Koin function that will help you to start Koin for your Android application. Okay. And then the start Koin will help me to get the context and application instance available in my dependency injection. Okay, I start Koin, I have all my definitions of the coffee maker module, and then just by adding the Gradle module of Koin Android, I unlock any Koin extension for Android. That is, any activity fragment and services are considered a Koin component such as out of the box. And then it's kind of magic, because I just write my property that I want to inject, and I will have the by inject function directly out of the box. It's really easy to use and direct. And I can also retrieve dependency from the container in a direct way with the get. By inject and get. This is just the function that you have to know. And if you want to retrieve the Android context for your components, then you have to, the best is to have it in your constructor and to have your reference here for the context Android. in your module, you will have to describe a single or a factory, but describe that you are using the Android context function that is the same as a get, but with the context type inferred. Another thing in Android is that we can't just declare singleton for everything. We have to deal with transient components and things that goes and go away, and this is all about the lifecycle things. Let's talk something about presenter, and the thing I could declare it's by a factory, something that will be recreated each time I need to have it. And it's just straightforward, because with the factory definition, every time my activity will be recreated and I ask for the by inject, it will ask for a new instance, and it will follow in a simplistic way the lifecycle of my activity. To follow every lifecycle stuff, Koin is ready for Android architecture components, and with the Koin Android view model dedicated feature, you unlock all the extension for the view model. And it will be straightforward to use view model, because it will allow me to make constructor injection directly with my view model. We have a dedicated view model here because we have to plug into the view model factory of Android architecture stuff, and we have to declare a dedicated factory definition here, and we just have to use our view model and make the injection as usual with Koin. Then, in my activity, I will just use it with the delegate. If I want to use the old API, the standard API, it will be like this, but I will use the Koin API that is the delegate by view model. This not by inject, but the by view model will allow you to bind the things with the architecture components factory and lifecycle. We can use it directly with the get view model, and if you want, it also works on fragment, the by view model and the get view model, and you can also share view model instance between activity and fragments and allow you to easy communications between all your components with the by shared view model. It's quite interesting, and this is equivalent of this kind of snippets with the view model provider of this.activity. That's it. Everything is kind of easy to access, and it's out of the box. The next thing that will also unlock easily is testing. You won't have anything against testing, and it's became very, very easy. And then with just dependency injection for test, Koin test, you will unlock things for JUnit and Mockito. The best thing is to show you how I can make a JUnit mock test about this module that we have about the coffee maker. Let's start JUnit, okay, and a simple JUnit test. I will run my Koin container to have everything run under the end, and I have a Koin test interface that is an extension of Koin component that will help me to have extension for my classes to have by inject available in my test component. That is, I run my container and I will have every dependency ready in the end. I have then access to by inject. The other thing I'm able to do is declare a mock on the fly and override existing component with a mock. And this mock will be injected by the property above, and then I will be able to use some Mockito on it, given, etc., etc. I can run the thing and make my verification on it. It's all. You can have easy access to all your components, and it's all ready for you. You can also have the same for the Android side. If you are making Espresso test, you can plug into the runtime, and the Koin container is is started with your application when you run an Espresso test. A good function that you have to keep in mind also is that you can check your modules, because Koin is not generated stuff or so on. It will read your declared components and will search for your components in time. Then our dependency are looked at in runtime. But you can check that your model is running with a small function that is check models. And you can check that all of your modules are running and assembling easily. That's it. You have good weapons to make tests, and you have what you want to know. Let's dive into Koin 1.0. Koin has been started in 2017, a few more than 1 year now, and the 1.0 stable version has been published in September, and one of the main focus was to publish a clearly DSL based on the main keywords, that only 4 keywords to help you describe any kind of components. Behind lots of features that have been developed from some options about override, creating on start, namespace, scope, etc., etc. Lots of things you have to check on the website to go with that. But we also develop getting started project. We also develop developing developer guide, etc., etc. Note that you can also use Koin with Java, and it will bring you a step with Koin for your Java classes and help you make some Kotlin. Let's dive into the scope API that has been published in the 1.0. And the first question, what's a scope? A scope is a space where you are resolving instances, and this space is lifetime limited. The idea is that this space can be closed anytime, and we want to drop this instance from there. It's better with drawings, and then we have the lifetime of our container. Single are maintained with all the lifetime of the container. If we have factory, this is quite very small instances that in lifetime, and we have something between that is scope that will help you maintain instances for a certain lifetime, and then will allow you to drop everything when needed. Best is to make an analogy with something better about a repository, some views, and scope. You can imagine something like user session behind that. Okay. Then a scope. We use a special keyword scope to help you declare your component, and you will have to use a scope ID to identify what scope you use it. From your code, you will have to create scope to say, okay, Koin, I am creating this scope. You can now inject from there, and use the right scope ID. And then you will be able to retrieve your dependency naturally. I don't make anything more than the usual use case. That means that in my activity, once my scope is created, I can just do by inject. And then, when I have injected my things, I can close everything and throw everything else. One thing that we adapted the scope feature to the Android lifecycle and then bring extensions to help you bind the Android architecture lifecycle stuff with the Koin scope. And for example, we can use the bind scope, that is the main function to bind your scope of your activity to a Koin scope, and say, okay, my activity will react in the scope of the Koin scope. And when my activity will die, it will close the scope cart order. And then I can inject my cart, and it will be closed at the end of the session. Other feature that can be interesting if you want, it's parameters injection. Let's say that we have a presenter, a simple class, my presenter, that we describe with a factory. And sometimes it can be interesting to put in constructor something like an ID or a property that is characterizing this instance. How I could do that with Koin? I will simply use the destructor declaration of Kotlin, that is parentheses and all my required parameters, to use the desired parameters in my feature in my declaration function. That's it. And then to inject my parameters in my activity, I have to open a lambda here from the by inject and use the function's parameters of with the list of the parameters I've used. Here, parameter of 42. And then the value 42 will be passed to the function factory to make my presenter. One current thing about Koin is that some people can see Koin as a bit sometimes boring because you have to write constructor yourself and say, oh, why why the framework don't do that for me? And then we are thinking about new solution to help people go faster and faster and keep things simple. Is kind of experimental features that we have behind. And we have a dedicated package to such kind of feature that to not break up everything behind. The Koin core X package. Then if I don't want to write my constructors, I can do another way with API builder, that is an overload of the current DSL that, for example, will help me just describe my definition with the given type I want. For here, I will write it like single of coffee maker. For the pump, I will have to use a special keyword because we can't overload the single definition with a two-type definition. We have to make a new keyword, then have to use the single by pump interface and implementation. And the same for that. And here we have more simple writings about the DSL. It works with factory, scope, and view model, but it's experimental and no magic. We write it for you, and we use reflection here. Another idea is try to find new solution to find this way to write things for you and to help go faster and faster. But the DSL is not very hard to use, and the only thing you have to use every time you have a component, declare it in Koin. We need your feedback, and this is very important because Koin has been built above all the community feedback, and this is why this is very used now, and we have to think about all the experimental stuff, and that's why we need real application that you have to test Koin. If you want to start Koin, take in mind that you have just a Koin DSL with 4 keywords, a simple API with an interface, and 2 functions, get and by eject, that will help you inject dependency easily. It's ready for Android out of the box and bring the Android architecture very smoothly. And it's easy to test, and you just have to use Gradle dependency. On the website, you have the getting started project, and you have to look at the samples, or you can also look at other samples, but I don't read documentation, and I don't want to have to read many documentation before writing anything with the technology. Then this is how I built Koin. This is about you have to just look to snippets or to few easy samples to understand how it works. We have quick references on the website to help you have a kind of cheat sheet to go to the main elements of the framework. And my advice is for you to make it add it step by step to your project. And if you have Dagger and you want to migrate, or if you have another framework, just locate components, small grabs of components, and migrate them step by step. You can go in a Bing Bang way and crash everything. You won't success. Just learn how how you can go with it, and it is the part, it is in the past that of your learning for Koin. Write it, test it, you have tools, and writing with Koin will help you redesign and review things. One of the main feedback that people tell us that, hey, it's easy, and it also helps us to write things in an easier way. And also people who had lots of Dagger and say, oh, we just have to have this component, and it's just a simple Lego in the final way. We have a complete documentation. If you want to look at this, it's a ASCII doc, you can contribute it. Everything is on the GitHub, and you can even look at the source code if you want. And if you need, you can go on Stack Overflow or Slack to have any question, and then you can also use the GitHub issues if you want. My presentation is almost finished. You see that Koin is quite straightforward, easy to use. We have a dedicated GitHub organization, and we have all the projects linked to Koin here. You can find it as this URL. Don't hesitate to go on Stack Overflow. On GitHub, we like to talk on GitHub because we can talk about questions, but sometimes questions lead to bugs or to improvement about documentation or something like that. And it's more relaxed than just having a chat directly on Slack, and people are not online on the Slack. And we are on the Kotlin Lang's Slack on the channel Koin, of course. We have the Getting Starting project that will help you start any project with Koin, from a little Android app to the Android architecture components and lifecycle. And if you want, you also can use Ktor app or a full Kotlin app if you want to play with that. All the documentation is online. The full documentation can be downloaded, and you have the cheat sheet available to help you go very fast. You can follow the project on Twitter at insertcoin_io. And we have a Medium channel to help publish articles about Koin, and it's better than just a release note on GitHub and say, hey, check the release. It's better about that. One last thing is that all this is possible due to early adopters, to community, to feedbacks, and to talks that have been made in meetups, and not only by me. Thank you very much to those people. And one last thing, just rendezvous on insertcoin.io, and just a last word from Tony Stark. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you for the interesting talk. And my question, did you check performance with other frameworks, and did you compare it?
In terms of performance, you say?
Performance.
Yeah. We don't have any benchmark stuff like that, because we have to have good application, and we don't have still time to make this. But the coffee maker application in Dagger is quite straightforward, and will run in I think 15 milliseconds. And for Koin, you have warm up to load everything. The DSL is about 30 to 40 milliseconds, and after, every instance is quite resolved around 1 millisecond and something like that. It depends on how you create objects and how you resolve it, but Koin will retrieve every instance quite fastly. It depends where you want to have the performance. If you have to have very quick performance, Koin won't be the exact candidate, but I think performance is not just here for dependency injection and common application that we made in Android.
Hi. Say you have two implementations of one interface, and in Dagger it's resolved by the named annotation or by qualifiers.
Yeah.
How is it done in Koin?
You have also a name. A name in single. You have a name option if you want to differentiate expression or definitions. You have also a name, but we don't have a qualifier or something. All is done in the DSL.
Hi, I'm just missing one thing. Where is the option migrate to Koin? Refactoring in Android Studio. No, but I would like just to ask if you already have some knowledge about migrating the projects. You said it can be done step by step.
Between Dagger and...
Yeah, from Dagger 2 to Koin. Maybe on the GitHub is there some...
I have some perspective, but I think it's a good subject for an article on internet and help people go from one way to several way. But the feedback is that it's quite easy to remove annotations and help you just declare things in just one module, because you won't have the need to have several modules like in Dagger. You can separate things in this module, and we don't have import feature. We don't need it because the start Koin function take all your module list and just read it and resolve on runtime.
Okay.
And to help you, I think it's the best way is to try step by step, unlock everything from your Dagger annotation and declare it in Koin, and step by step convert your application. It depends how people are using Dagger and...
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you support injection to Android system created instances similar to view models, like workers from Work Manager APIs? Is there a way to support it in Koin?
In Work Manager, it's kind of special because you have to subscribe. You can subscribe to, with tasks and something like that. I think the best, if you want to inject in a Work Manager, is to use the Koin component interface. The general rule is that if you can't describe it in the DSL, then you can't have the constructor injection. You have to use the Koin component extension. If those extensions are not present, some kind of the Work Manager is not extended with the Android, the Android extension, the global extension, then you have to use the Koin component interface, and you will have all you need. And you will retrieve component from the external things.
Hello, not sure I got it right, but the notion of extending, the notion you have in Dagger of extending the graph in a scoped in a scoped manner, like the classic example you have of resolving some dependencies by scope. Is the scoped part of Koin, or?
Yeah, it's in the internal. It's in the core part of Koin, and it's a special way to make instance. You have to create this space, this scope somewhere, and Koin will be help you to resolve things for you and keep things, because factory are not kept by Koin. Factory will give you directly the instance, because we don't have the need to keep your factory instance. We regenerate it, but for single, we want to have single and scope definition, and scope you use it with your lifetime unit, and you create and you close the scope.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Can you inject objects into Java code?
Yeah, you have the Koin Java project that help you have the static accessor for Java classes, and it's a static import, and you will have get and inject things that will help you have lazy typed Kotlin things and directly your instance. It's quite minimal, but it helps you make a step with Koin directly from your Java project.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.